people are gonna hate me for this. Buy Now Die Later is directed by Randolph Long, has written by Ronald Allen Habon, and stars TJ Trinidad, Vong Navarro, Raver Cruz, Alex Gonzaga, John Lapos, Lotlot De Leon, and Janine Gutierrez. And Buy Now Die Later is an anthology film, kind of, that sees 5 individuals buying products from a mysterious store owner called Santi, played by TJ Trinidad. They think that his products will be the answers to their problems, but things start to go bad for all of them. And I was excited to watch this movie because it is pretty much this year's Shake, Rattle, and Roll. It is this year's entry to the MMFF that's like an anthology film that's like horror and comedy. And I had been hearing very good things from lots of different people about this movie, so it pains me to say that when I watched it, I just wasn't a fan. Despite some great production design in the movie, it just wasn't scary to me, it wasn't funny, it wasn't really that fun, it just didn't work. I guess I'll just jump straight into it. The main reason why I didn't really enjoy this movie is because it kind of has trouble deciding what it wants to be. Because it tries to structure itself like an anthology film, but it's really not. In fact, I think if you take away all the title cards that kind of signify when another vignette is starting, the movie really wouldn't change at all, since all the characters do end up kind of just meeting anyway. But that's not necessarily the reason why I didn't like it. The reason is because they chose to, use this structure. As a result, all the vignettes kind of feel rushed and underdeveloped and sometimes just downright incomplete. This movie is about 2 hours long, a little over 2 hours, and they have 5 vignettes, so each vignette only really has like 25 minutes to introduce a character, introduce the conflict, and then have bad things happen to the characters, and you really feel them struggle with that. And when the movie finally does decide that it is in fact one coherent story, just with multiple arcs, the ultimate conflict that's revealed in the end feels kind of rushed as well. I mean, I can't spoil anything, but the way they tie things together just feels really unnecessary, and I really honestly think this whole thing would have worked better if they just kind of left the vignettes as standalone stories. And it doesn't help that the transitions in the movie, especially between vignettes, are super awkward and abrupt. And there are a lot of horror anthologies out there and movies like Sin City and Pulp Fiction that do it well. And at the end of the day, all the characters pretty much are the same in that they all do stupid things for no reason. They are pretty much your stereotypical horror movie characters. And I think it would be just so much more interesting if they actually revealed more about Santi himself and the film's mythology. Like, what is this story of his? Who is he really? And that stuff had the most potential, but again, they just didn't spend enough time talking about Santi. And also, after a while, I just started wondering, why are these people being punished in the first place? I mean, at first, you get the impression that it's because they broke Santi's rules. When he gives them a product, there are terms and conditions that they have to conform to, and they break those rules, and thus they get punished. I was kind of okay with that. Then later on, kind of became clear to me that they were being punished because through their use of the products, they became bad people. So I was thinking, okay, that's good. That's like, the whole karma thing. But by the end of the movie, they kind of make it in such a way that they're being punished just because there's kind of like an evil antagonist out there who wants to do bad things to people. I know the whole karma thing is kind of overdone and cliche, but I think it just would have been better if they went down this road. And then an otherwise pretty good cast. Alex Gonzaga is just a really weak link, unfortunately. Her vignette was the most difficult for me to watch because of just how shrill and annoying she got. And because her attempts at comedy just didn't really land for me. It's undeniable that Buy Now Die Later is a very ambitious project, but Randolph Long isn't able to make anything scary in the movie, and not even like psychologically scary or funny. I mean, if you look at last year's Shake, Rattle, and Roll 15, they managed to pull that off. They had one vignette that was very story-driven, another one that was really scary, another one that was really funny. But there were things that I did like about Buy Now Die Later. The rest of the cast is actually quite strong. Vong Navarro really surprised me with how focused he was on making his character serious, just not playing him just for laughs. Raver Cruz managed to keep his character very mysterious and kind of subtly sinister. John Lapos is really good in everything he does, even when he plays things for laughs. Lotlot De Leon is very committed in her role, and Janine Gutierrez plays a younger version of her, and she managed to convince me that she was the younger version of Lotlot's character. And TJ Trinidad is clearly having a lot of fun playing Santi. Like, he just plays him in a really kind of campy, over-the-top way that's so fun to watch. But the production design really is the real star in this movie. It feels like they built this movie around the set of Santi's store, because there's just so much to look at, and creates this really weird, like, bizarre atmosphere, like you're in a Ripley's Believe It or Not store, and there's just so much to look at. You kind of get distracted while people are talking because you just want to look at all the stuff. And by the very ending, like, they use this one makeup effect that looks surprisingly very, very good and pretty freaky. Like, it looked like something that would have belonged in the Mos Eisley Cantina in Star Wars. But unfortunately, I have to say that I did ultimately think that Buy Now Die Later is just an kind of mediocre movie. But the one recommendation I will make is that I think this concept would make for a good TV show. You could have like a Halloween special every year of people buying stuff from Santi's store. They could, buy very timely things, and the situations they get into would also be timely. I think it'd be pretty cool. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Buy Now, Die Later. Have you guys seen it? What do you think about it? Whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.